Watch and burn.
Hey everybody! So tonight I'm going to be discussing the character of Kathleen Mead from Degrassi Junior High as well as Degrassi High. I don't think she makes an appearance at all in School's Out. Now, okay, this character is a double-edged sword. Because on one hand, she is like the bitch supreme. Like, remember when Spike gets pregnant and then there's that one part where you see Spike walking up and then Kathleen makes a few comments about like her being the mom, and then she goes in, and then a few minutes later Shane walks up and Kathleen's like, "Here comes daddy." And it's like, God, Kathleen, you are a fucking legendary asshole. But then on the flip side of that coin, we find out in the episode Bottled Up that she's dealing with a fully broken home. Her mom is a neglectful and low-key abusive alcoholic, and her father is never home because he's always traveling for work, and B, he most likely wants to spend as little time with his wife as possible. So Kathleen is left to sort of carry the load on her own, and she's always trying to be perfect because she just wants her parents to be proud of her. Kathleen ends up developing anorexia, and then she starts dating that fucking piece of shit, that goddamn walking caveman, Scott. Oh, he's so dreamy. Scott wasn't good looking. Scott was ugly, yo. And then he starts smacking the shit out of Kathleen. So you have Kathleen the bitch, but then you have Kathleen the victim. And it isn't like her victimhood is imagined at all. Kathleen is a victim. Her home life is severely damaged, and then she starts dating a physically and emotionally abusive piece of shit like Scott. And I mean, it's hard to, I don't really know how I feel about Kathleen. Because on one hand, I feel bad for her, but then on the other hand, I just feel like she asks for everything that happens to her. Short of course, what's going on in her home life, and nobody deserves to have their ass kicked by their boyfriend. Not that. But just the way people see Kathleen, she deserves to be seen that way, because she's a judgmental piece of shit. But then, I think that's not being all that sensitive, considering the fact of what she has to deal with at home, and considering that she went through with Scott, and how she still has to go to therapy regarding the whole Scott situation, even after he's come and gone. I'm glad that she charges him. I thought that was really cool that she followed through and had him charged. But I know he's a minor, and they're most likely just going to seal that record. So Scott's going to probably go on to kick the shit out of other girls. I just wish somebody had just found out and put Scott into a coma, but that unfortunately never happens. So Kathleen's a tricky character. I mean, I know that she's the bad guy in the show. She's sort of the evil queen that nobody likes. But when she develops anorexia, it's brutal, and then her boyfriend beats the shit out of her, and she's got the home situation, but then she doesn't help her situation at all by being a decent person ever. I don't understand how Melanie Brody, who is absolutely adorable, I don't understand how Melanie was able to maintain a friendship with her, but then that also sort of signals me out and gets me thinking like, maybe she wasn't so bad because Melanie's a really good person, and if Melanie likes her, then maybe there is more to Kathleen than meets the eye? I mean, Melanie and Kathleen's relationship just gets torpedoed when Melanie gets high and tells everybody all of Kathleen's secrets at the sleepover for Diana Katsopoulos there. When they pretend like they're going to the movies, but Caitlin's there, Melanie's there, Diana's going to be there, and of course Kathleen's there. She lets everybody at that sleepover know about all of Kathleen's secrets, and she's outside crying, and Caitlin attempts to comfort her by saying, we already kind of knew anyways. But Kathleen's like, they were my secrets. They were mine to tell and nobody else's. And then the episode ends with Kathleen walking away from Melanie, and that's it. Their friendship's just over. It's not addressed again. And that's the last we see of those two characters. And I always thought that was like a really incredibly sad way to end this friendship that we had watched all the way from back in like junior high, right up until this point with the all-nighter, where Melanie gets high and lets all that slip. I thought that was an incredibly tragic way to end their relationship. And I do feel bad for Kathleen, but man, I'm on the fence with her. And I think that is where I'm going to leave it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for just about 4.5 minutes while I discussed the character of Kathleen Mead from Degrassi Junior High as well as Degrassi High. Like always, don't forget that you guys are amazing, and I will talk to you guys soon because I have done a ton of these. Have a good night.